Welcome to the Roy Anthony and
every
Friends Show.
Tuesday and every Thursday. Y'all tap in.
Is this thing on? Can you hear me?
Roy
Is
Anthony
anybody out
Show
there?
is the spot to be, baby.
Hey, tune in. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. And it's featuring the homie Big Hank
And Cynthia.
It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. And it's featuring the co-host Big Hank
And Cynthia.
It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. Everybody tune in, you dig it? It's funny as hell, my dude. It's when we can kick it.
Every Tuesday.
Everything is going
every
down.
Thursday.
They about to do the most. It ain't a confrontation, it's a conversation, homie. Yo, on the weekends, Roy Anthony
Every
Show. It's
Tuesday.
during the week, homie. The Roy
Every
Anthony
Thursday.
Show. What you listening to? The Roy Anthony Show. Come on and get a
Tap
bar
in.
before we gotta
Tap
go.
in.
What you listening to? The Roy Anthony
Every
Show. Come on
Tuesday.
and kick it with us. The Roy Anthony
Every
Show.
Thursday.
It's going down, homeboy. The Roy Anthony Show. Co-host
Tap in.
Big Hank. We getting it. What you think? It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. And it's featuring the homie Big Hank
And Cynthia.
It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy Anthony Show. And it's featuring the co-host Big Hank
And Cynthia Joy.
What it do? What it do? What it do? Hey, I am Roy Anthony. Welcome to the Roy Anthony Show. My co-stars will be popping in eventually. Cynthia Joy Towner, who had surgery for I think about 5 weeks ago, and she's starting to have sensitivity in her limbs. She was had a stroke and didn't have no sensitivity in her leg. I think it's her left leg or right leg. She didn't have no sensitivity, and now it's starting to have the feelings coming back, and it's going through the physical therapy. I know there's a lot of pain in there, but we praying for progress and a positive outlook on the whole scenario, which is what she does. Then Big Hank, who has been having vacation in Bible school, if I'm not mistaken. He is the head deacon at the church, St. Luke's Holy Baptist Church on the west side of Long Beach, under the leadership of Dr. Williams. He'll be popping in pretty soon, and sometimes our other guests be coming in. And then we are on the platform of WO Entertainment, which was created to bring awareness to how our veterans commit suicide on a daily rate, active and non-active veterans and military officials, along with our teenagers and anybody else. When it's coming to suicide, it's not like there's somebody who's better than the other person. These alarming rates of numbers, to my understanding, is almost 44 military personnel that commit suicide to 12 to 14 teenagers per day. And we're working, ourselves would, like to be where it's zero, no suicides. And so we strike up conversations where sometimes people may find it they don't have a conversation or inadequate on speaking on something, and we try to strike up on subjects that everybody can kind of relate to, we hope, in one way or another, in one fashion or another. But the WO Entertainment, which was created by Richard King, his stage name Redneck Pimp, who's also running for presidency of the United States. We proud of him on that, because I keep telling him, for real, if his name gets on the ballot, I'm definitely getting my vote, and especially for what we've been seeing lately. I think he's a wonderful candidate because he's a family man. He's been a leader in the military and in his community. He knows the laws of taxes and just a lot of, he's very knowledgeable about some stuff, and he's about humanity as well. So I give him major kudos, along with the co-creator of the W Entertainment, which is Goose, our associate producer, Blue Phoenix, Ethan Daly. And then we have our sponsor, Matthew Brooks, along with our good neighbors, good friends, BB Nation, back with veterans based out of Oregon. Matter of fact, I've seen some comments coming in already. Richie King came in and said CO. Carl said CO pimp. Richie said Carl. Carl said, hope all is well, pimp. He said, Richie said, so far. He said, we got home yesterday from the coast. Blessed, I'm grateful for that, because we was hoping they get safe, even though it's, everybody know how I feel. That's why this week this show is about canceled. I got to say that correctly, because people were saying they thought I was saying counsel, like you're a counselor or something. I was like, no, say it's canceled. So canceled. Carl said, Roy, what's up, brother? What's up, Carl, man? I'm glad to see that you made it home safe and stuff, and know that his son had a very good time. And he's a straight family man, along with his significant other. I know that they're going to be tying the knot, to my understanding, by next year. Miss Caitlin and Carl, CNC, you understand me? And just grateful for that. I told him, I said, man, they get it out, I'm gonna do some comedy at the reception. I owe them that. I'm going to the river, to the lake next year, God's will. I'm alive, man. I'm also attend the wedding, because I feel like, I want to contribute myself a little, especially when I was canceled by the airport, right? So, and as y'all know, we live in a council culture. Every time I look up, I say it even in my stand-up about council. And when you think that things has gotten tolerable, let's say, because you can't say everything has gotten good, but right when you think it's tolerable, you got situations popping up. And one of the biggest things that I can't stand about our United States is people trying to divide it. United means that you stand together. I noticed, like, a lot of times we don't even consider this the United States. We call it America, because we're constantly divided. And the more I see these politicians and everything, and it seemed like if me, I researched and how the politics was going on in 50s, 60s. Man, it's insanity. We keep doing the same things over and over, expecting different results. Some people prefer a presidency because it benefits them personally, not looking at it as a whole spectrum. You've always had, oh, we got the rich and the poor. Don't have to be like that and stuff. We should be able to have enough food. When a person comes up with a song to dance to, it's not based, to my understanding, that they made the song just for one particular race to be able to dance with. It wants everybody to have a good time. I just don't understand how we're so divided. And right when we thinking that we can tolerate stuff and get back, get to a part of unity, we always come up with another a way of dividing. Hey Carl, what's up with you, man? He said, hey Roy, I know him as the Wizard of Oz, if I'm not mistaken. And so, but I don't hold grudges against people. I don't hold nothing against one person or a group of people because of one person's or certain people did a certain thing. We was having this conversation yesterday, me and some of my brothers, and we was talking about, we was having a conversation about race. And one of the things we was, talking about is that I don't blame none of the white folks of today of being slave owners. Even back then, there was a lot of whites that did not believe in slavery, whereas some whites did. Then they painted that it was just all down in the South. Well, that's not the truth. And so they had them up in the North. And even if you didn't have a slave and stuff, you felt that that race of blacks should apply the rules, because it benefited you. If you was in the Jim Crow laws where they told you can't come in the front or the back, or you had to come to the back. You can't come in the front. Your money's good, but you can't come through the respectful way. You can't drink from the waterfront. This is hatred. This is division. It's called for what it is. So when we look back at it, everybody has some fault. Like I've had things I've done in my past, and I've said, hey, forgive me. I was wrong. I went to my God, to his son, Jesus. That's me. That's my belief. And I said, hey, please forgive me, and went to that person or something. It was wrong, hey, my bad. I tried to amend the things I did wrong. Now, what I'm seeing in our society is when you got some of our society feeling that a lot of my neighbors, especially my white family members, they feel that slavery was totally wrong and justified and everything. They want to just throw, let's wash it away. Let's stop talking about it. I don't even like them talking about it in school. I'm for real. I'm not saying that I think schools should be teaching our kids economics, how to deal with credit, how to deal with co-workers if you had a company. They should teach socialism and not in a sexual socialism, but a socialism on how to get along and how to work with each other instead of trying to teach sexuality. Teaching now, Florida is saying kids has to be taught. So now you talking about bullying. What do you expect to happen now when you telling another child that your ancestors was inferior to this child? It's constantly in the evilness that occurs from it. People preach all the time, but yet I see division. Sunday mornings, one of the most divided times in our country once a week, because you got the white church over here and the black church over there and the Latino church over there and all in the mosque things, all this and that. And I'm like, man, I'm not a dictator or thinking dictatorship. I'm just saying that's calling facts. It's one of the most divided times of our country is Sundays. We unify more on the NFL than we do in church. That's amazing to me. Like if you're a Raider Nation, like I was at the airport when I was getting counseled to go to Portland, and a white guy walked up to me and he said, Raider Nation. He was like, he's whispering because we was in Chiefs territory, right? But we don't discriminate at that time. I see some people paint their faces the color of their team's colors. I've seen people in Green Bay who love the Green Bay Packers, and there's a lot of Green Bay Packer fans in Long Beach. They wear the cheese hats. It don't discriminate. Only white people can wear cheese hats. Blacks, Asians, Latinos can wear a cheese cap if you're a Green Bay fan. Richie said Raiders. He made a derogatory term against my Raiders, which I will not show on the day show. He's supposed to be having a neutral football program starting too. And so you got to keep it neutral. You can't be the president of the United States, because if my Raiders win the Super Bowl and you in the White House, you got to welcome my Raiders to the White House and take all those public pictures. You darn Skippy. Can you picture Richard King? He's a devout Chiefs fan. He become the president, and my Raiders win the Super Bowl in his tenor. He has to bring him to the White House. That's right. In honor my Raiders, we would give him a jersey and everything. Shelly, who will be first lady and stuff, she's like, I told you Roy was right. He was going to, the Raiders won the Super Bowl while you was in the presidency. You darn Skippy. But I want to show some stuff because I'm still on the Florida thing, because I don't like division. And it's dividing. What gets me is not where it's blacks or whites. It's not that. It is now a difference where you got whites and blacks who don't agree. And then you got blacks and whites that agree with what's being taught in Florida. And I've said this, and I'm going to say this again, because someone time, and I know, they know who said it, but they asked me what Florida's laws got to do with me if I'm living in California. Well, this is a bigger spectrum. And it's like if there's a cancer and your cancer is just in your baby finger, and you say, well, I ain't going to take care of it, well, eventually that cancer is going to spread. If you don't take care of it now, you may lose a little finger, but it's better than lose a little finger than 2 of your arms and a leg. Now, I keep saying this because this governor also is using his platform. He's getting a lot of attention as he's running for the presidency. Now, they Mr. Former President Donald Trump, who's going through all types of cases. I said, man, that man's facing more cases than the law allows. I'm even getting nervous for him. May not like his politics, but doesn't mean I don't like him or don't love him as a human. He has a soul just as well. But man, he got cases upon cases. I would tell former President Donald Trump, hey, take it to God, ask for forgiveness of all your sins. He'll do it, wash you up, and start anew, and get past these cases first. Stop trying to run for the United States when you should be trying to get these cases off of you. For real. That's my advice. Now, anybody else, they know better than I do. Okay. Now, I'm talking about division, and we counsel. You see on my caption, it says, counsel me not or be counseled. Well, this is my salute to Governor DeSantis and to those in Florida and around the U.S. who thinks that slavery's helped people like myself. I've been trying to figure out how would slavery have helped me. It sure didn't teach us how to rap. I do stand-up comedy. You mean it doesn't seem like I could be doing comedy picking cotton. It don't seem like nothing funny at the time. I think after they got through picking cotton, nobody wants to go to one of the sheds, slavery sheds, and hear me do some stand-up, because it ain't a damn thing funny at this time. I'm just trying to say, as a trade, I work with computers. What would I have learned from my ancestors? I work with computers. I do, I'm a designer. How would that have benefited me, right? But when you listen to some of the obnoxious outrageousness, I just want to share some stuff. Now, I'm gonna go into this video. Check this out.
The tyrant of Tallahassee is back at it again. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis appears Tapp been caught in a lie, and now he's facing backlash from all sides of the political spectrum after defending a new public school standard that teaches the lie that some Black people benefited from slavery because it taught them useful skills. This is what Governor DeSantis said after the new standard was announced.
Well, you should talk to them about it. I mean, I didn't do it, and I wasn't involved in it. But I think what they're doing is I think that they're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life.
But now Governor DeSantis seems to be changing his tune.
Particular provision about the skills, that was in spite of slavery, not because of. They did a very good job on it, and there can be no confusion about where they would come down on that.
Well, I am confused because this new standard, and I'm not the only one, because the standard has sparked debate not only between DeSantis and civil rights leaders, but Governor DeSantis and Black conservatives. They are lining up and standing up to the Florida governor. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida, Congressman John James of Michigan, and Congressman Wesley Hunt of Texas. They have all rebuked DeSantis and this rewriting of American history. Look, the decision to attempt to rewrite our history and make slavery digestible, it is absolutely infuriating. The lie that the capture and enslavement of African people provided any benefit is absurd. Before Europeans arrived, African people were already running empires. They were running entire political systems. They were skilled in art, technology, math, medicine, and so much more. So the notion that African people needed Europeans to help them build their skills is just monstrously untrue. But you and I both know that this lie is not new. This is a narrative. And by this narrative, I'm talking about the narrative that slavery was a good thing for our country and the Confederacy was on the right side of history. That's a narrative that's been taught to our children before, all across this country, especially in states south of the Mason-Dixon line. The plan has always been to attempt to whitewash the true history of this country with lies on top of lies on top of lies. So this Florida standard is just a new way to place an official stamp, if you will, on the revisionist actions of so many folks before Ron DeSantis. So it is up to us to share the whole truth. It is important that we know our whole history, nothing but the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because those who do not know their history, they are doomed to repeat it.
She's, and the thing is that, like me, I wouldn't want no one to relive a horror, especially from their ancestors. Richie one time shared with me, it's called the Trail of Tears, how some of his ancestors was murdered and made, driven from their land. Did that benefit them? When I read Anna Frank's diary, it made me, feel for this lady. I never knew who she was. She was a Holocaust victim, but she had wrote a diary, and they called Anna Frank's, and I read it. And Schindler's List and all this stuff, right? And I'm like, wow, I wouldn't want them to relive that. I don't even want them to think about it. When the Irish people had a potato famine and was driven and didn't have no respect from England and stuff like that. I don't want them to relive that. I don't want people to relive the Titanic or the Hindenburg or any of these catastrophes. I don't want us to relive 9/11, with planes crashing into the Capitol. The whole United States was in fear because we don't know what's going on. We under attack. That don't happen here in America. We don't want that to happen again. We don't even want to think it was a positive spin off of something negative. Now, you got people saying, like, later, Richie, I feel you, he has to go take care of some stuff. And when I say it's division, a lot of people, y'all know Michael Rappaport, right? Michael is very outspoken. He's a Jewish guy, but he's very outspoken on a lot of different things. And I want to bring him up on what he had to say, because this was
No
he just telling the
slaves
truth.
benefited from slavery. They taught them trades. You think that was by choice? The slaves that learned trades did that to survive. That wasn't something they grew up dreaming, like, I'm gonna be a slave, and while watching my mother get raped and my father get the shit beaten out of him, I'm gonna learn a trade, and one day I could take that trade. And this is survival. It's like in the Holocaust, the people that were digging ditches, the Jewish people that were digging ditches for the other Jewish people. You think they were doing that because they enjoyed being ditch diggers? This is survival. This is... how could you imply any of that shit was something that was beneficial to somebody? These people, the slaves, were taken, stripped of everything, brought over here, forced into doing every single thing. Atrocities, violence upon them, in their face every single day. There was nothing beneficial about that. You fuck you. You fuck you.
He meant that shit. And you know, so, and that's what trips me out, because when I seen that, I was like, whoa, you know, he spoke his mind. I said, I get you, Michael. That's good talk. That's good talk. But what hurts is when I run into, like, y'all seen last week, I had a video where the guy is a black guy who helped write this educational amendment in Florida. He's a black guy. And the way he talked, I just knew he trying to fit in. He couldn't fit in with my group. He trying to make something monstrous into something like it's a newborn baby. No, it's a monster. You don't compare a monster to a newborn baby unless a newborn baby is half a demon or something. Then there it is. Because I don't know how in the world you raise Hellboy. You know, he's cool as a grown man, but as a kid, I don't know what is. I ain't about to raise that damn thing. But we got blacks. And when I see, okay, I'm gonna share this lady right here. Look at this lady.
But the Jews own everything. I thank God for slavery. I thank God for the crack house. If it wasn't for the crack house, come on somebody, God wouldn't have never been able to use me how he can use me now. And if it wasn't for slavery, I might be somewhere in Africa worshiping a tree. And you can talk.
That's just so disrespectful. That is disrespectful. It gets me when people want to use the Lord and all that shit. Man, I would have said, man, I would never go to your church. Sit your ass down somewhere. And then you're going to disrespect those who's over in Africa. You've been worshiping a tree. Who the fuck are you worshiping? Because you sure ain't worshiping the God I know with the dumb stuff. God's a God of love. Anybody who knows the Bible, and I'm not a minister, but I know the word where it says that the devil has reign of this atmosphere. The devil quoted scriptures to Jesus himself, who is the word of God. It said in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, because the word was God, because he's the word of God. The devil tried to quote scriptures. Now this lady right here just made a statement. Carter's right, man, there's so much dividing about this. That's what I'm saying. If we don't jump on it now, it's about to get festers. You can ignore it and say it don't have nothing to do with me, but it do, because it's going to be for real. Now, this lady's on the pulpit. She said, I thank God for saving somebody. I heard one person, I don't know if I ain't hear no amens. I just heard, yeah. Who say you supposed to be in the pulpit? Because what you're teaching sure sounds divided to me. And that's the black woman. She don't speak for me. She don't speak for none of my sisters that I know of. And so, and I want to show it because I call it out. I don't care what race you are, what religion you are. If you wrong towards humanity, then you wrong. I don't have no sympathy. So if you want to come in the name of the Lord and down other people or everything, everybody got something to say. Just call it for what it is. Am I right all the time? No, I'm not. I'm no bigger than the grains of sand that I stand on. I don't discriminate. At my house, when my kids had parties, we had all types of races over. Races of people over, I said races over. And I had all types of races of people over because I work in engineering. I got a lot of my white friends and my Latino friends, and they come over and I'll be honest with you, my white friends brought the better gifts, but I'm just being honest. I accepted all, my kids accepted all of it. We had dinners and I fixed everybody had some food and everything. I didn't discriminate on who should eat and who this and that. And I get tired of this dividing stuff. All it is dividing. And when we want to take the truth and wrap it up amongst lies and say, oh, this is what it's meant to be. Why we ain't putting that on a voting system? Why aren't we putting these type of situations on a national voting? Okay, I just got a, she said, Cynthia Joy just hit me up and said she's having a life and death situation with a friend. And she was coming in, with her being one of the leaders of especially a lot of people who've had strokes. She runs across a lot of people that wants to give up and give on their life, and she's about that work. And I just want to say, yeah, I'm grateful that she's doing that for real. And I don't want to be where I'm just talking on the stuff that I see like you and I. Everybody who's right here with me, you seeing the same stuff. I never called Carl and say, hey, how many blacks are going to be there? I knew that this black person was going to be there, and I didn't care who else was there. I knew that I was going to be around good people like Carl and Caitlin and J-Dub and all the BV Nation. That's who I was going to kick it with. I didn't ask who color or race and stuff like that. I know I've been boycotting Florida. I would go down and visit my brother in Fort Myers and kick it in Miami and stuff. I ain't doing none of that. I go to Wells Fargo, North Dakota, or Pig Knuckle, Pennsylvania before I go to Florida. I'm just being real with it. Check this out.
I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Digging holes! Just when you think Ron DeSantis can't dig a bigger one, he calls in a Panama Canal-sized backhoe and just goes deeper.
Freedom lives here.
Ron, by the way, is the governor of arguably the most insane Mad Hatter state in America. This last week, the Florida Board of Education brought in a new curriculum on African American history, and this new standard says that black people benefited from slavery. Black people benefited from slavery? K. You mean like the Jews benefited from concentration camps where they benefited by learning to concentrate? So let us figure out how black people benefited from slavery. Are you guys ready? Hi, kids! You've been taught so wrong for so long. Slavery was just a jobs program. Think of slavery as a 400-year unpaid apprenticeship with whipping, rape, and genocide. Slaves learned valuable skills like how to be blacksmiths and how to grow crops. They also learned babysitting other children when their own children were sold off to another plantation where those children benefited also. And that's why African American billionaires far outnumber the white ones. And those are the benefits of slavery.
This message brought to you by the Florida Board of Education and Governor Ron DeSantis.
The Florida Education is...
I had to show that, man, because Christopher Titus is crazy. I've always liked his styles of not calling, he calls it by, he shoots from the hip. I like that, because the thing is, this is a scenario. This is a scenario in our country where it calls us to be divided. Some people say, well, Roy, you don't pronounce your words correctly, but you understand what I'm trying to say. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to get an understanding of where I'm trying to say. When are we about humanity? When will you stop looking at this shade and what the clothes I wear? Why don't you get to know me by the content of my character? Ron DeSantis, you showing me your contents of your character. You're the governor of the state, and you're going to say, ask them? What type of leader is you? Then you get away from your constituents. Now you're on the road. You're backing up off of it. Stand 10 toes down. So how we say it in the hood, 10 toes down. Soldiers say, stand tall. Stand your ground. Is that what you believe? Don't be scared of the whiplash. You've done it now. Face it. And so, or admit you was wrong. We're going to change it up. We're going to amend this. You the governor. For real. You worried about what Disney's doing and everything. Sit your tail down. That's why you look the low in the polls. Even your Republican Party is not feeling you. Because now you done messed up. You have messed up. And you let your constituents and stuff, for real. It's a trip. You must be messing up when the man, former President Donald Trump, got all these cases against him, and he's still leading the poll. You get down there. I ain't voting for nobody, none of them. I ain't doing it. I'm writing it in. If Richard King makes the write-in ballot, I'm gonna write him in. I'm writing something. I'm not dealing with this stuff because I'm not gonna be insane. I'm not going for the same stuff over and over and stuff, for real. Over and over, the same stuff, over and over, same. Man, go on with that, man. I'm not doing it. I'm not voting. I'm voting, but I'm not voting for none of them. No top Democrat or none top Republican. I'm voting independent. We should all been voting for Bernie Sanders. That's who I wish was running. For real, he had a plan. It's making Missouri $4 million a day. You better ask somebody. For real, and how did slavery benefit? I heard him say, well, they learned how to grow crops. You took us to prison when we was growing weed. And now I see a lot of my white neighbors making millions doing the same stuff that we've been doing for over 20, 30 years. He threw us in prison. Now you benefited off of it. Oh, you think that is just now helping epilepsy? It was helping the epilepsy then. You just didn't want us to benefit from it. It was helping people with cancer, arthritis, rheumatism. But sure can't say we learned to trade that way.
They were trying to abolish slavery. Was that a bad thing or is that a good thing?
Sometimes I think the bad things are portrayed more than the good things.
What were some of the good things you feel like are
people
portrayed?
were taken care of. Would you take a tractor that you just bought brand new and tear it up, misuse it? No, you're going to take care of it because you just spent a pile of money on that. Those people produce their crops. work their fields. So you're not going to mistreat something like that.
Interesting. What do you think Hollywood has gotten wrong? The way the South is depicted regarding slavery?
I would think one would be the beating of people. There may have been one that would do that to their slave just because they're a mean, bad person, but the majority of them would not do that.
Would not
they
beat
were
their
part of
slaves?
the family. They were like Big Mama, we just love it. They were just all a big family.
How do you know that to be true?
Because I have family heritage, and I've been told the story since I was a little girl from people whose grandparents lived it.
The guy.
They need me at their barbecue. And I'm gonna say, first I'll tell the one guy, them people. See, that's your tone of talking. Them people. What that mean? Them people, is that we're black? And you see how they try to make it sound sweet? You better go ask Quentin Tarantino if it was sweet. It can't be sweet when you're hanging upside down and somebody's coming in about to cut your nuts off, talking about cock-a-doodle-doo, nagger. But they make it sound like, oh yes, probably one slave master out of, he was probably a bad guy. They should have took his slaves from him because he'd be beating them. Even when they sold, when the person went to go buy the slaves, they was already broken in a small part of the country to be brought over here to be sold at the stocks. Now you sit there with your Kool-Aid drinking people and sipping tulip and everything and try to make it sound like it was just something that it was like, oh, they like Hollywood just made it bad. Alex Haley, when he took the stories of his family members of roots, he was exaggerating. They didn't cut Kente's foot off. They probably cut a toe, but he was still able to stand. They took people's kids. They took kids. Now, I love my children. We fighting that all the time through in our society, dealing with these child molesters and snatching kids. But they take our kids and sell them and make the women raise their kids. Being honest. And just keeping it 100. It's one of my co-stars that came in. What's up with you, Big Hank?
Roy, what's happening, baby?
You got it, man. I told him you still working in Vacation Bible School.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, I told him at the end. And so, yeah. How you been doing, bro?
I've been good, Roy. How about you, man?
Man, I can't complain. And matter of fact,
I missed your phone call yesterday. You called me in the middle of Vacation Bible Study, man. Right in the middle of it, you called me. I said, well, I'm gonna call you back.
Man, I sure apologize about that.
I said I was gonna call you back, but I was still trying to make so much shit happen, man. But
and I know that Big Hank is getting ready to go on a cruise. With his wife, they're gonna be gone for the weekend and stuff, man.
Yes,
it's hard for me to think. I worked at Queen Mary, and that shit was dark. Just kind of hard. You know, I can't. If you're gonna go on a ship, you might as well be with the one you love. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, man.
You know, so I've been going on this thing about in Florida, right?
Yes.
And I had a video, and I'm wishing I can bring this video back. I had a video of this lady who was preaching on the pulpit, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think I have her. I got rid of the video, I think. And she was preaching about how she thanked God for slavery. She said, if I was still in Africa, she said, I think because I probably would be in Africa worshiping a tree. She was on the pulpit, bro.
Wow.
Carl said, Big Hank, what's up, bro?
What's up, Carl Loomis?
And the thing is such the division. Carl, like us, he like, man, we don't stand united, man. We got to stand united. And that's just being it. He said, man, there's so much dividing about us, and this is what we're showing. Oh, it wasn't. We got white families speaking up.
Yeah.
You got blacks. I just played a video where these white neighbors were saying how that it wasn't like all that bad.
The
slavery wasn't all that bad. It was, and so I've just been shown because DeSantis is backing up on some of the stuff he said. And I want to.
The tyrant of Tallahassee is back at it again. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis appears to.
My apologies. I showed that already. I meant to get rid of that. I showed that. Anybody who just coming in, you missed the video. Not talking.
Where's your proof that brown-eyed people are smarter than blue-eyed people?
I tell you, brown-eyed people. You just listen. Now this is going to be an effort for you. This is going to be an effort for you because you aren't accustomed to listening. White males are accustomed to telling things. They're accustomed to listening. Now, brown-eyed people are responsible for the fact that you have electricity. Many of the components for generating and transmitting electricity were invented by brown-eyed people. Brown-eyed people gave us our alphabet. Brown-eyed people gave us our numeration system. Brown-eyed people gave us the paper on which we write these anonymous letters to me that tell me that brown-eyed people are inferior. When you go home, you people do not pray for me, particularly you. Don't you pray for me. Because, see, I don't have to worry about that. All of a sudden, you ain't going to pray for me. Now, brown-eyed people are the ones who originated or who founded every major religion on this earth. No white people have ever founded a major religion. Now, you need to realize the contributions that have been made to society, to civilization, by brown-eyed people, by people of color. I'm talking about people of color here, folks. And most of us are not aware of those things because we live in a racist society and because we are educated by a racist school system that only teaches us about white contributions. And that's a fact. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. If we would start telling the truth in schools, we would not have racism. We could cure racism in this country.
She was preaching and teaching.
Yes. And because the only way you're going to learn is to be truthful, and now we won't have so much division. Yeah. Now, I was just saying this, that if we was to tell the truth, or save America, say, you know what, we was wrong. Just like I repent. I told it's not too late for former Donald Trump. Yeah. DeSantis is losing to him right now, and former President Trump got all types of cases. And I said I'm not voting for none of them because I think it's insanity. I ain't voting for the Democratic Party. I'm voting for the independent. Whoever's in the independent, I'm voting for them. They got to vote for me because this is insanity. But if we was to repent, and I ain't no too hard for former President Donald Trump. If he was to repent for everything, you got to help him get past these cases and stuff, you know. Well, you're gonna deal with something. God you got to take your little punishment, but it won't be all that bad, right? But I like this person right here. I'm about to show an example of a person who messed up majorly, millions of dollars. The home he living in now would probably be a closet in the house he would have been living in. And he accepted that he made a mistake. And he talked about it in front of the public and had his family member there to, and I said, this is so brave. This is what an example of what America needs to be like. This guy right here, I'm showing.
Tonight, man, I messed my dad up, man. I don't know if y'all know, but I messed my dad up when I fucked up at USC. I was USC's all-time leading receiver. I was gonna go first through the third round. They had millions and millions of dollars, and I started fucking with that cocaine. and fuck my dad up. So now he think every athlete that fuck up be on cocaine. Soon as LeBron throw the ball away, he be like, see that these niggas go, there they go. They on that shit. He on that shit. Look at him over there looking like Hank. Sitting over there looking like Hank, That's my dad, man. I love you, Dad.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that, man.
Hey, man, you know how much courage that takes?
Yeah, man.
You know how strong we're. That's a prime example.
Yes, sir.
That what America needs to do.
Thanks, big bro.
To the American people.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
Made a mistake.
Yes, sir.
And when he said, okay, when Big Hank did this video, do you notice the video was only what 20-something seconds long? It's a minute. I think it's a minute long.
Yeah.
And stuff. Okay. He tells it in a minute, but can you picture the days and hours and everything that's going by while he's going through that? That's a sick feeling to know if you got millions and now you had $300 or $400 a week, and he seems to me, I think he's happier. Not saying that he doesn't deserve more, but I don't know if he'll be this person. We know him, y'all, if he was making his millions.
No. And I probably wouldn't be here because that year was 1986. Okay. That year was 1986. I was supposed to go in the draft. The same year, Len Bias OD'd on cocaine in front of the whole world. Don Rogers OD'd on cocaine in front of the whole world. And if I would have I would have been at number 3. You know they come in threes. You know they come in threes. And so I know in my heart of hearts that God stopped me from going there because I would have killed myself, or I wouldn't have been the same person that I am now. And so God, he sent me through my valley, man. And that's what life is, man. Is hills, is mountains, mountains.
You probably would have bought a whole bunch of cocaine.
Man,
but look, hey, y'all, we be trying to talk to Big Hank. He be like, oh, God.
Hey, when they found Len Bias, he had a baseball sized rock full of cocaine. They would have found me, I would have had a football sized rock. They would have found it. Look at this nigga got a rock, a football sized rock. You know? So yeah, man, he stopped me, man, from going there. And I got blackballed out the NFL. Nobody wouldn't touch me. And that was a blessing for me because they know if I'd have got on any field, I would have made it. Any field. They wouldn't let me get on no field, man. So I want to thank God for being God and keeping me away from something that would harm me, man. That's what he did, was he kept me away from something that would have harmed me. And,
but you tend to. What I admire though is that a lot of people is scared to talk about little things.
Yeah.
That they're ashamed about or whatever, or you won't forgive yourself. Let's say forgive yourself.
Yes, sir.
This man have missed something, and way you laugh, and you know, it's like, hey, I find myself feeling odd. Like, how can I laugh that this man lost millions of dollars? Well, he's laughing, I'm gonna laugh along with him. If you get sober about it, I'll be. But do you feel? And look, only thing I'm telling anybody is not saying that Big Hank is better than anybody.
No,
I'm just talking about the example. And his dad was there in the audience. I was there when he did that comedy spot.
Yes, sir.
And I was surprised that he could talk about it so easily.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.
I can't even do no comment in front of my mother. Because if I start telling her, yeah, I got fucked up. See, his dad was a gentleman audience. You know, he's in the audience. He's been a gentleman. He just laughed and stuff. I think if I did that and my mother be in the audience, she's like, oh, yeah, you did that shit too. I had a Terrence Crawford mother growing up. For real. You run from a fight, she whooped your butt.
Yeah.
I got the worst whooping of my life running from a fight. But America, that's the way you do things. This is what we teach our kids. I don't see why we don't have a curriculum. It should be national wide. We teach kids economics and how to be socializing as far as with your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Teach humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we teaching them sex? You don't need that.
No.
You know, for real. Little girls can run track around just like with the boys in gym.
Yeah.
You get tired, go sit down. We don't need you to be having no heart attacks and stuff. We're gonna learn how to balance checkbooks today.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn about credit scores.
Yeah.
And play how you purchase something, you get something on credit and stuff like that. Your neighbor, you at a job, and so your co-worker is acting a certain way. How you gonna be, Billy? What would you do at this situation, Billy?
Yeah.
You feel me? We need this type of teaching. But see, when people who don't care, especially people who don't have children, or you may be wealthy and your children go into a private school, but you want to teach the public schools what they should be teaching their kids. And you attack the kids at an early age, 6th to 9th grade. That's called in between puberty.
Yes, sir.
Carl said we need to teach them overall respect for everyone, not just for one individual. That's what I'm saying, Carl.
Mm-hmm.
We should teach pride. I'd rather be taught that when we go to other countries, because they know we teach us, we proud to be Americans. So when I go to another country, you darn skippy. You don't have to look at it from the 60s Olympics. This is our thing when we out of country. You see another person like this, you know that's an American. Right on. We're Americans. We can take some of the stuff and mingle it together.
Yeah.
If we can do this and say this is peace, that was something from the Woodstocks.
Yeah.
They came up with peace. We said, hey, right on, mean unity, solidation.
Yeah, solidarity.
It wasn't just because it was a black fist, it's because it was only blacks that was doing this. But we're welcoming anybody to do it. Right on. United. But guess what? I sound silly when you're talking being righteous or being showing humanity. I'm proud of y'all. Y'all teaching Vacations Bible School, right?
Yes, sir.
Y'all teaching that sexuality to the kids?
No.
You're teaching that slavery benefited a lot of them?
No. We teaching the truth, the Bible, man. We teaching
see what I'm saying? I know. I'm just, what I'm saying? I know.
Yes,
Carl
sir.
said we need to be teaching pride, and we also need to be teaching when to stand up for what you believe in, and we also need to teach when you are wrong. That part, and how to accept it. How to accept you, like those who ran into the Capitol building on January the 6th. You need to be taught that sometimes you may lose. Privileged people feel like they should win at everything.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that speed limit was for me too. So I'm like with I don't like to be counseled. And that's the first thing where DeSantis made a mistake is was counseling us out. I didn't like that at all. And now your agenda seems to be constantly trying to push that you are inferior and your people was inferior and whoever you associate with was inferior to blacks. Let me tell you something.
You mean superior?
No, it was superior than us. Yes.
Right.
If you ever stand by a big old deer or buck deer, that deer is big.
Yeah.
He's superior to us, natural. But with the rifle in our hand, that deer is inferior to us because he doesn't hold a rifle and I do. When you got the gun in your hand, anybody else who doesn't have one is inferior. It's like Huh?
It's an old saying out there. It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
That's it.
It ain't no fun.
I had a couple of scenarios where the person had a gun and I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like they was Janet Jackson at this time. They in control. You got me.
Yeah.
So the only thing I could do is all right, you got me.
Yeah.
Okay. So Big Hank, what you got to end this show with, bro?
Man, that the stuff that's going on in the world, man. I don't know what I do know what's going on, man. It's coming to the end. The world is ugly, man, out here, man, and we the ones that's giving out positive and influential advice, man. And we hope that you guys keep tuning in, man. And I love for you guys to keep tuning in to the Roy Anthony Show, man. And we're gonna keep giving it to you guys live, uncut, straight lace, no chase, and we're not kissing nobody behind. We ain't doing none of that, man. And we're gonna speak what we know, and we're gonna speak the truth, man.
And
Thanks,
man, I
Roy.
totally agree with what Big Hank said because, you know, we've been through some storms. We've probably faced other storms, but the storms that I'm going through now is nothing in comparison when I didn't have a spiritual foundation.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm just being honest with you. Sometimes we don't agree on certain things, whatever. It shouldn't be to the point that it's a life and death situation.
Right.
The saints in the Bible disagree sometimes. There's a time where Paul and Peter didn't see eye to eye on certain things. And I could see why they didn't really like Paul because he was killing folks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then he's seen the light.
Yeah.
But let's try to communicate. Remember, it is not a confrontation. It's just a conversation. Never talk with somebody and say, well, let me correct you or you're wrong. I say, well, I see it like this.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't knock them down. It doesn't make me feel I'm bigger I and they're little you.
Mm-hmm.
It's an equal playing field. I thank God for Big Hank. Cynthia, she had just texted me. One of her friends, she was in a life and death situation right now. She was trying to get in, but that situation was she dealing with, because you know a lot of these young people who have strokes don't feel like living their lives any longer neither. You know, yeah. I can't use my body. I might as well end my life. You know. Yeah. And so thank God for Cynthia constantly being a soldier on this 24/7. She's on this. Strengthening you. Yeah.
Praying for you, Cynthia, and for your associate. We're praying for them also.
Exactly. And so anybody, if you got a subject you want to bring up to us, reach out to us on Facebook, or if you got email us or something like that, you can reach out, because we don't mind hitting on any subjects. And so I'm out of here. I'm Roy Anthony. This is Big Hank Norman. God bless y'all. We see y'all next week. And hey, you have a good, safe trip, Big Hank.
Man, and listen, Roy, it ain't this Friday. It's next Friday. So I'm leaving next Friday.
Okay, next Friday. See, I've been so excited somebody going to do something they want to do. I was canceled.
All right, hey, man. All right. Hey, man.
Love you too, bro. God bless. Love everybody.
Yes, sir. Love.
Peace out. God bless.
Welcome to the Roy Anthony and Friends Tuesday and every Thursday. Y'all tap in. Is this thing on? Can you hear me? Roy Anthony anybody out there? Is the spot to be, baby. Hey, tune in. It's the hottest show, homie, on the West Coast. The Roy